Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, your host. One of the things I love to do is help professional women who want to feel fulfilled in their careers but don't, and who want to create more harmony in their lives when it feels like something is missing. Because I believe when your career is a soulful fit, it won't become a soul sucking experience. And everybody in your world wins when you're doing what you love. Another thing I love to do is introduce you to inspiring guests who are role models and resources to help you explore career options for yourself. So if something strikes a chord as you're listening to us today, take a look at the contact information below in the show notes so that you can connect with my guest or me. Now, my guest today reached out to me wanting to share her story about how she approached making a career change. She hired a coach to help her, and it wasn't me. So, sharing her experience will help those who wonder why and how a career coach could help them make a career transition easier. Tess Zigo spent nearly a decade in corporate finance when something seemed to feel off. So she reached out for help and began a process of discovery that led her to find a fulfilling career that brings her joy and in which she can make a difference in people's lives. And that was very important to her. She took her corporate finance experience and parlayed it into becoming a certified financial planner. And now she focuses on helping women gain control of their money and to create a plan for the future. It's another one of those stories that I love to share that proves you can turn a soul sucking experience into a career that's a soulful fit when you explore the possibilities, feel the fear of the unknown, and do it anyway. We call this episode A Career Change Saved Her Sanity. Welcome, Tess. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
It is my pleasure. I'm really excited to get this conversation started because I know through my own experience working with coaches and through the work I do as a coach, how transformational this experience can be. So let's start by hearing what was going on for you in your corporate finance role. What were you sensing that was off, and why were you so unhappy?
hmm that is such a good question. And, you know, my last job is really kind of what did it for me. So I spent 9 years in corporate finance, and all of those years I spent in treasury management, which is just a fancy term for cash management. And so what I tell people is I basically managed money at my last career as well, but it just had a lot more zeros in the end. But I didn't feel like my job was having an impact, which was a big downer for me. I created a lot of reports for upper management to make all the big decisions for the future of the company. And it didn't feel fulfilling, um, and it just wasn't bringing me joy. I wasn't spending my days doing the things that I truly loved. So that was really the aha. I need to do something else. This is not working.
This isn't working. Yeah, I know. It's a different turning point for everyone, I think.
Hmm hmm
So, at what point did you know that you needed to make a career change? What was that deciding moment for you?
Sure. So I knew I hated that job that I was in just because it was so repetitive and it felt so mundane. And day in and day out, it just felt like just reliving the same thing every day, like deja vu, literally. And the breaking point was I was 7 months pregnant. And I was talking to my manager at the time about making a change within the company because I figured, I'm pregnant, I'm going to have this, this baby that I'm going to be financially responsible for. So I don't want to make a huge life transition, in the same time. I would rather do something, make a change in the easiest way possible. So I talked to my manager at the time and I said, hey, can we move me to a different department? I like the company, I just don't like what I'm doing. And she made it very clear that she was not going to help me make the change that I needed to make internally for my sanity. And so I realized that I was going to have to do something drastically different to get myself out of that position entirely.
Oh boy. And at a time in your life when you needed to take some time to acclimate to being a mom. Was this your first
Right.
child?
That was my first child, yes.
Yeah. So lots of transitions happening for you all at the same
Yes.
time. I can
Yes.
understand why you would prefer, not to also make a
Mhm.
change to another company and start somewhere else fresh. That,
Right.
yeah, that just kind of exacerbated the problem, didn't it?
Mhm.
And not
Mhm.
getting the support of your manager.
Yes, but I think in retrospect, I'm so glad everything happened the way it happened
Sure.
because, I believe things happen for a reason. And
Yeah.
had that not happened, I probably would have stayed in just another job, and who knows if I would be happy or not.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? All right, so let's dig in a little bit about what you did. How did you go about landing on your choice to become a financial advisor? What was
Mhm.
the process? Did you go through a bunch of options? Did you go through a process of
Mhm.
elimination? What did you do?
Sure. So all of those things. And that's really why I ended up hiring a career coach because I didn't know how to make that decision, and I didn't know what process to follow in order to help me, eliminate and narrow down some options that could work for me. And so going through a process of doing personality testing and Myers-Briggs testing, disc profiling, all those things that I had never done before was very helpful because, there was a process to figure out, okay, these are some options that make sense based on your personality and your interests. And then let's kind of narrow it down. So we narrowed it down to 3 career paths that could, potentially um, give me what I need in order to be happy in my professional career. And after talking to people in those fields, I then had to decide on one thing. So that's when I chose to become a financial advisor.
I love what you said, and I'm so happy that you were guided to do this
Mhm.
to identify what your options are based on some information that
Mhm.
you gathered through self assessments and understanding. I imagine you also did maybe a strengths finder, understanding what your strengths were.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then coming up with several options. Here's the key, I think, of what you said. Then speaking to people who are in those areas, in those industries, in those lines of work, to
Mhm.
get a sense from them who have been potentially where you were
Right.
and are where you want to be, and
Yes.
learning from that. Tell us a little bit about what did you learn through that process?
So I have to say that process was very, very helpful for me because, I went to college when I was a 16-year-old. I had never lived in America before, so I had absolutely zero clue as to what professions are available in the first place. So it was almost like I was blindfolded when I went into my major, and then blindfolded when I went into, treasury management, not really knowing what it looked like at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea what that career field really looked like. So actually going through a process was super helpful, because then I could talk to, those people who are in that field, and I could visualize, literally, have them tell me what a day in their life looks like.
Yeah.
And, they walked me through how they became, and that how they started in that career, what they liked about the career, what they didn't like about the career, so I could make an educated decision about whether I wanted to be, in that line of work.
Yeah. So, I talk about trying to find the soulful fit, right? It
Mhm.
has to feel right.
Right.
It has to it I mean, so many people these days, and for years,
Hmm.
for centuries, I think, have walked into positions blindfolded. I love the way you put that, because it conjures a great image. It's like you don't really know what you're stepping into,
Hmm.
and learning from other people who are there. A day in the life. I loved it that what you did. Tell me about your day, your daily routine. What are you involved in? What do you work on? And you get to then look at that and go, yeah, I like that part of it.
Hmm.
And there's an awful lot of something I don't really want to do involved. So
Sure.
maybe this one's not for me. And being it, this is the process of elimination kind of thing. Yeah, I love that.
Honestly, I wish all high schoolers and college students would go through a similar process, because you're investing so much time and money into a college degree, and then you have no clear picture of what you want to do with it after you graduate.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how many high school seniors
Mm-hmm.
are ready for that kind of a process, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure some are, and it probably would make their career choices so much easier, and
Right.
their choice of major so much easier if
Mm-hmm.
they had they had some if they did some of the inner work, right?
Right.
The
Yeah.
understanding about their strengths, their weaknesses, the things that make them tick, their
Mm-hmm.
personality. Yeah, some people are introverts. Some people, if they don't even recognize that they are, and they can step into a sales position because somebody thought that would be a good idea for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think back. I think back to um, many, many, many moons ago when I was in that position, and I had no clue. I had no clue. I knew what I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I did want to be, how I
Sure.
wanted to spend my career. And like many people, I fell into my first job
Mm-hmm.
was because I needed a job,
Right.
and I fell into human resources.
Mm-hmm.
I soon learned within a couple of years that that's not where I wanted to be,
Mm-hmm.
but I love dealing with people. So my next role was in public relations. Now that was starting to get closer to where I wanted to be. It
Sure.
took me a few career changes. So I
Mm-hmm.
call myself the master of reinvention. But it took a few career changes for me to land in marketing and feel like it was a fit for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's such a wonderful thing that you get to be in this position. And I just wish more people would go through the process to really figure out what brings them joy, and be in a career that makes them happy.
Yeah, I wish so too,
Yeah.
because I there are I talk to a lot of women who are not happy. in the
Mhm.
work that they do in the world. And it
Mhm.
just, it reflects on the rest of their lives. So tell
Yes.
me a little bit about that experience for you.
Mhm.
How
Sure.
did it affect you being unhappy at work? How did that affect the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a trickle down effect because if you're not happy at work, you bring it home,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I wish you could walk out the door and leave it at work and go home and be a happy person and bring your best self to your spouse, but it's just not the case.
right.
Um, so I just, I remember going home and just being super stressed. Every Sunday, I had anxiety going through the roof, thinking about, oh my gosh, tomorrow's Monday and I have to go into this job that I hate. And I don't get along with my manager. We're constantly butting heads. And it was just not a good atmosphere. And it wasn't the right job for me. It was not the right environment for me. I couldn't thrive there. I felt like my wings were clipped. And being pregnant and knowing that I was about to have my first child, I thought I'm already pretty awful, and I'm this awful person to my husband because I'm not happy, obviously, and I don't want to bring my child into this environment where his mom's unhappy every day and she's grumpy. She's coming in from work, and I'm not able to be who I am, which is actually a very happy, positive person. And the job was making me the opposite of that. So I knew that something had to change. I just couldn't go on.
Yeah, I love I love that you said your wing. You felt like your wings were clipped. You're using such great metaphors. I love them. Uh, Tell us what was the hardest part for you.
Gosh, it's always difficult making a change. And I've seen the statistics about making a career change, and this was absolutely true in my case as well. I was always very financial goals oriented. So making the change was mostly very financially scary because I knew what I was making. I knew that I was going to, keep making more if I stayed on this corporate finance track. So I knew what to expect financially. And letting go of that salary was frankly very daunting. And we really had to sit down and rework our budget to figure out how we were going to be able to live on just my husband's income for a number of years because I didn't really know how many years it would take for me to actually make an income starting a business from the ground up. So definitely the financial consequences was my biggest fear.
And that is a big one for many people. And there are some women who are the sole breadwinners,
Right.
single moms out there, and
Mhm.
they have bigger hurdles to
Yes,
overcome. Um, but
exactly.
you did a really you made a smart move in talking with your husband and figuring out if you
Mhm.
could budget in a certain way, whether this would be a viable option for you to pursue
Right.
now or in the future, right?
Mhm.
So even if you decided that this is what you want, that
Mhm.
that's the goal you set for yourself, the stepping stone to that might have been, it could have been getting yourself another position
Yeah.
to bring in the money that you needed
Mhm.
until, right?
Yes.
And maybe start the the business as a
Mhm.
side gig,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
you went into it full force.
I went all in,
You went
sink or
all in.
swim.
Okay. And a lot, I did the same thing.
Yeah. And I will say I was fortunate to be in a position where I could take that risk, and we had significant amount of cash savings also to help lessen the burden of that change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It takes some planning. It
Absolutely.
really does take some planning. And the options are not all or nothing, right?
Right.
It's not, oh, I can't start a business because I'm not financially sound yet.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that I'm not financially sound yet, but if I put a plan together, and this is really what I want to do, I want to be working for myself, or I
Mm-hmm.
want to be doing something else. Doesn't even have to be starting your own business,
Exactly.
right? But creating those stepping stones,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that there are, stages that
Mm-hmm.
you can reach that
Yes.
will ultimately bring you where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, I think that's the biggest thing for people to take away is you can go slow, you can take it one step at a time. You just put, your one foot in front of the other and you just kind of keep going at whatever speed you can, but at least you know that you're taking the necessary steps to reach whatever goal you've set for yourself.
Yeah, it takes consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a crystal clear vision. You really got to know what it is you want to start with, and then set the goals and be consistent and never give up. Honestly,
Right.
it
Yes.
really is. Just don't give up on your dreams.
No.
All right. So tell us how you're feeling now that you have made this leap and you've settled in to your new business, your new career path. Are you
Mm-hmm.
glad you did it?
I am so glad I did it. It was so difficult at the time because I was a new mom. I sent my notice to my corporate job because I was so scared for so long to be, truly done. But I was on my maternity leave. I sent my notice in, and I was studying for my license exams to become a financial advisor. Um, and it was a lot of change all at once, and it was definitely hard work because I wasn't sleeping, and then I had to study for these big exams. But I'm so glad I did it because there's never a perfect time to make a big life change. You just kind of have to do it. And so I'm glad that the worst part is over, so to speak. And now I can actually, just kind of enjoy my kids, and while they're still young, I have two boys now. So now it's kind of just looking back, and I'm so glad I did all the hard work up front so I can now enjoy the fruits of my labor.
I'm so glad you were so transparent about that because it is hard work. Making any kind of a major change in your life it's not easy.
No.
The path may sound simple, but
Hmm.
the steps you need to take they need, yeah, you have to be committed to them. You got to want it really, really badly.
Yes.
And like I said before, you just can't give up. You have
Hmm.
to keep moving forward. And there are setbacks. Did you have setbacks?
Of course, I think everybody has setbacks. I mean, I started the business, and I thought that all my friends from corporate finance would automatically become clients, right?
Mm,
And that's just not how it works. Money is such a personal issue. I think a lot of times your friends don't actually want to talk to you about their finances
that's
because it's
right.
almost like taking their clothes off in front of you, and then can we really be friends after that? I don't know.
Yeah.
um, so yes, there were definitely hurdles. I mean, starting with zero clients and zero income, uh, when I had a newborn at home and diapers to pay for, that was a huge hurdle. But it just takes time and consistency, and if you want it bad enough, you just got to stick with it.
Yeah. All right. So, how long did it take you from the time you took the leap to
Hmm.
when you started seeing the clients come and you were on a steady path upward?
I mean, that is a tough question. I feel like it took a good 5 years for me to really feel like, okay, financially speaking, this is going to work out.
Yeah.
Um, And, yes, for some people, they have overnight success. And, you know, we see the influencers and they're just, making it rain on day 5, which amazing. I don't know how they do it. It took a little bit longer for me. And I will say there was a huge learning curve. I mean, I was in finance before, but I wasn't in personal finance.
Right.
So there was so much personal finance things that I had to learn, as well as really working with people one on one, and those interactions and communication and listening skills. So there was just so much to learn about
Yeah.
how to be a good financial advisor, and then how do I get clients in the door. Just a lot of different moving parts I
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah. That's something I think a lot of people maybe forget to consider. They
Mm-hmm.
may be an expert in their field
Mm-hmm.
and they may have done it in a corporate environment for many, many years. And they think, well, I can consult about this.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can teach this.
Sure.
And they decide to start their own business. And what they
Yeah.
don't realize is that they're not very good at marketing because they don't really understand how to
Right.
market themselves.
Yeah.
Now, I spent a lot of years in my corporate life in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started my own business, it is a totally different kind of marketing. And that's not something that I really knew a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
So the concepts of marketing, yes, but marketing in the B2B space versus B2C space is
Sure.
very different. So, all right. So Tess, I would love for you to share just some useful practical tips that you learned on your journey with the folks in our audience today so that they can learn from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the biggest one for me, and I find that it's sometimes difficult for us females to reach out for help. But for me, the biggest thing was reaching for help and asking, to work with a career coach, and honestly making the investment, because I was such a frugal person. I think, being in finance again kind of hurts me. Because I'm all about saving and investing my money. So paying for a career coach was very painful for me. And I think it can be for other people as well, if you're not used to investing in yourself.
Yes, it's a mindset shift, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you said, I'm used to saving and investing my money,
Right.
the mindset shift is you were investing for some future need or
Right.
want, right?
Right.
And that's how we're raised. That's how we're trained, we're taught, right?
Sure.
The idea of investing in ourselves for the present and the
Mm-hmm.
near term future so we can make changes that will affect the long term,
Right.
that's a concept that's hard for people to grasp.
Yes. Yes. So, that was really hard for me. And I think, because I was so unhappy, it really kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone to
Yeah,
just do it. So I
yeah,
just, you know,
yeah,
I just did it, even though it was painful. And having a coach is amazing. I think if you don't know what career would make you happy, it's such a worthy exercise and a worthy investment, because somebody can walk alongside you with a proven process to really help you kind of narrow it down to, well, these are the kind of careers I could look at that
right,
would bring me joy.
right, right.
And just be patient with yourself. It's not going to be over, it's not going to happen overnight. Whatever it is you end up deciding to do with your career, it's not, probably not going to be overnight. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, and rushing the process is not a really good idea anyway, because
Mhm.
you won't get as much out of it. And I think the long term transformation
Mhm.
is likely impacted if you try to rush it.
Sure.
As coaches, we often say, trust the process
Yeah.
because we've been through it ourselves. We have done, like I said, I have I have changed careers multiple times
Mhm.
in my corporate career, and then again
Mhm.
after I left corporate.
Yeah.
Um, and it is a process, and it's not something that um, it's not something that we can rush through because it takes introspection.
Mhm.
And when you're looking inside for answers, you got to go through a lot of stuff, right? Got to go through a lot of the limiting beliefs and the fears that you've got stocked up, right?
Yeah.
And you got to make your way through those before you can get some clarity about what you might want and how you
Right.
get it. Any other
Yeah.
tips for us?
Uh, Sorry, repeat that.
Any other tips for us?
I think, yeah, I think just trust the process, like you said, because I remember going into my career coach after work, and I was pregnant and I was tired, and I just wanted answers,
Yeah.
and I was like, can we do this quicker? Just tell me what to do. And the truth of the matter is, a perfect career for me is not the same as a perfect career for you or a perfect career for the next person. So it's really about the introspective work and figuring out who you are, and what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. What are you good at? All those things take time.
Yeah. 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 Just tell me what to do. I can't tell you how many
Yeah,
times I've heard that from my
yeah, just please tell me. I mean, literally, I just wanted her to tell me what to do.
yeah.
That would have
And
been a lot easier.
it's like any change in our lives, right? Just tell me what to do. Tell me when I'll feel better. Tell me how to jump through this hoop, over
Right.
this obstacle, climb this mountain. It's our own individual mountain to climb,
Mhm.
and the coach is there as a guide.
Mhm.
So it's if you can envision, someone standing up the mountain a little bit and reaching down to pull you up. What you're not seeing is that there's somebody above her reaching
Mhm.
down to pull her up too.
Mhm.
We're all on this journey. And those of us who are coaches are a little further along the journey
Mhm.
than those we coach. So we've been there, done that, and we want to make it easier for other people. So I'm so happy that you had a great experience. Of course, I'm sure you wouldn't be coming here to tell your story if you didn't, or I wouldn't be having you on. If you
Yeah,
didn't.
right. Probably not.
Yeah, but I really appreciate your being so transparent and sharing the trials and the tribulations, as well as the successes and the joys that you've been able to share with us. Thank you so much, Tess.
Thank you.
And now I'd love to share with our viewers and listeners where they can reach you if they'd like to have a chat.
Yeah, so for anybody who's curious about corporate finance careers or financial planning, I am at truewealthy.com. So reach out to me. All my contact information is there, my phone and my email address. I'll be happy to talk to anybody.
Okay, and that's true, TRU,
Yes.
wealthy, WEALTHY.com. That's great. Tess, again, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, and for those of you who have joined us, thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate that you are a part of our community. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a comment or a review. And if there's a star rating where you are watching or listening, pick a star. Let us know how you feel. As I said at the top of the show, I love creating and sharing resources for women who feel stuck in their careers. So if something in this episode resonates with you and you'd like to get a fresh perspective on it, let's chat. Let's continue this conversation. You'll find all the links to reach my guest, Tess, and me below. And I invite you to continue the conversation in my private Facebook group, the Career Transition Roadmap. So, again, that link is below as well. So, let's meet again here next Wednesday at the same time. Because you know what? I believe it's our time to thrive. So, let's thrive together. Till next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you turn transition into triumph.